Today really very happy to come again for this gathering, and the main purpose is that at the beginning of this academic year, and we would like to come together and just have a small experience of communion working in this diocese, many religious. And also another issue is that this is the time of transfers and appointments, and I see some new faces and some old faces, some beautiful, all are beautiful faces. At the first time in the Diocese of Singapore, we have one pastoral center director. So Father Sundaras is with us today, and he is appointed as the pastoral center director. Okay. And then we have a few new religious who want to explore our diocese. Okay, there is of course our resource person is Father Shyam, belongs to the Conversion Fathers. So Father Shyam, I think sister is very happy to see you. Please let us Conversion Fathers, very young man, 41 years old only, and Father is a companion of. He studied in Philippines and companion of Father Vijay. Father Vijay also studied in the Philippines. So, and one more, and they are trying to explore the Diocese of Singapore, and eventually soon they may start their congregation. So let us welcome them. Okay, thank you. And one more father is here, Father Sunil. Father Sunil belongs to the Salvatorian congregation, and already he is assigned here, and he is going to be staying in a social service center, and he is going around and see the places, virgin lands. Yes, still there are so many virgins in our diocese lands, I can say, and he wants to find one virgin land where he can start evangelization from the scratches. Okay, thank you very much, Father. Welcome. And there is Father John, a guest priest from the Diocese of Meluru. He is very accompanied with Father Shyam and a new friend, the same village they are coming from. So thank you very much. And you know, all these transfers and appointments, I remember one small joke. Okay. There is one father, after 10 years of his work in the parish as a parish priest, and he's transferred to another place. And then he's a good friend of the mayor. All the friends came, and always, and this mayor also is supposed to come. But politicians always are late. They say 6:30 and they come 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and we don't know. And everybody is there waiting for this mayor. And they said, Father, you are going away from this parish. Can you please tell us some experience of yours, one beautiful, one nice experience, what will remain in your heart? Tell me. Then his father said, I had one horrible experience in this parish. That is, first time I sat in the confessional, there was, that screen was there. One fellow came, and he was confessing, my God, I don't know what kind of sins he committed. Cannot tell, lot of bribe, lot of sins, lot of adultery, we cannot say so many sins from everywhere, this, that, such, I could not tolerate all these sins, so many. I said, like these people also can exist in this world, and it remained in my heart. I was so disturbed, first day of my experience here. And meanwhile the mayor came. Mayor is coming, everybody was clapping, mayor is coming, and mayor came, and the mayor has to give a speech. And mayor said, I want to tell you one beautiful thing of my life. When I came to Father, this parish priest was appointed, first time I went for the confession. Such a nice confession. You can imagine the appointments and transfers. How? Okay? In this new year of this, I wish everybody a beautiful year ahead of you, and you can really enjoy the stay, and let us work together. And today already Father is going to take some lessons, and Pope Francis is asking us these three things important pillars: synodal church, participatory church, communion church, and mission church. These three pillars. So these three pillars, once again, this is I think we are going to come again and again in our lives, and we may have to listen again and again till, as Mother Teresa tells, love till they get hurt, like that. Okay. Today, I would like to pray and that our meeting will be successful and guided by the Holy Spirit. But one thing I would like to tell you that I'm a little bit sad because you are all over 100, more than 100 nuns and the religious are here, but not even 50% of the participation is there. Here we are failing the first, second part of the synodal church. Participatory church is not seen. So please tell, whenever there is a CRDT, please participate actively. Once in a while you have this. We have so many other things. I have so many other things. But I have come and sit here, listen to you, and it is very important for us, for you. So next time, I wish all the maximum participation. Sister, okay? But thank you very much. God bless you.
But thanks for welcoming and thanks for the being here. And as Bishop has already in his presidential address, as he said, using the participation. In this very short time, and I wanted to give what the Bishop has asked me to share with you. And before that, I just wanted to invite you to say there was one king, and this king, when he slept, immediately, all of a sudden in the middle of the night, he woke up because he was disturbed. In his dream, there were three important questions. What were the three important questions that he was so much disturbed? The first thing is that, what is the good that I need to do? What do I need to do actually? Second one, to whom I should do this good? The third one, at what time or what is the right time to do this good to that person? So he was so much disturbed, and then immediately the next day, and he called all his advisors, and all of them, they have come. Each one was giving and different suggestions. Someone will say, come, let us make one project and let us do some charity to people. Some will say, let us come and do some construction work for the poor, or give some ration and distribute so many things, and they were suggesting. And he was not at all happy with the answers, what they have given. Try to imagine this is the same scenario for many religious and even including in the diocese, it is the same situation. Whenever the meeting happens, advices are many. But it is important to pay attention, what kind of advices do we make? Practically, these are the same three questions that need to be answered. Now, continuing with the story, this king, because he was not satisfied, and he decided to go to one sage, one Muni. And he decided to go there so that he would answer his questions. And usually this Muni, he doesn't welcome anybody except poor people. So being a king, and he dressed up like a poor man, and he rushed there, and he told all his soldiers a little far away to remain, and he went all alone by walk. And he found this Muni was working in the garden. As he was working, he went and he requested and he proposed his request. And then he noticed there was a grand silence. This Muni was not interested in answering any of his questions. He was continuing digging and working. Again, he asked several times, but he was not answering, he was fully busy. By looking at him, and he noticed that this poor old man, he's struggling, and he took the spade and he started to dig. So that with an intention, at least if I participate and to help him, he will answer my questions. So I will get that right wisdom. That was his intention. But still he was not answering. After a short time, there came one man with full of blood on his body. Immediately as soon as he came, both of them stopped the work. They rushed to him. They took him inside. They began to dress him. They began to clean his wounds. And the time went on like that. And after finishing, again the king asked the same questions. Muni, please, I have been waiting from morning onwards. Could you please help me to answer? And he did not answer anything. So he was tired and fed up, and he decided to go back. When he was going back, the Muni opened his mouth and replied, you have already answered all the 3 questions. And to the surprise, the king asked him, how? How did I answer? Then the Muni said, you came all the way to search for me for answers. I am the right person in your life. When I am working, you decided on the spot to take the spade and dig. That is the good thing that you have done. And that difficult moment of mine, in my weakness as I am working, in that time, you have taken an initiative to help me. All the 3 questions are answered. And then he said, you have also answered in another way. What is the other way? This man who came with the wounds with the full of blood, and this man, actually he came to kill you. But on the way your soldiers started to attack him. But unfortunately you have told all the soldiers not to come here, and knowing you are coming here, and he made an attempt. But when he came, you don't even know that he is your enemy or anything. Immediately you have addressed him, you have cleaned him, and you have helped him. And he is your right person to help. What you did to him is the right thing to do. And that was the right time to do. Now, having said this particular simple story, this is what I wanted to ask you. Try to understand, when we are talking about a synodality, what we are talking about in the centrality of all these things is how can the gospel can live in our life. Because at the end, when we talk about the gospel speaks about the life of Christ and the life that Christ offers to each one. The good thing that he offers, the good news, that's why we call good news. And surely that is the right thing to for us. But how do we manifest this to the others? Now, taking this point, I wanted to draw up or sum up some of the important points what Pope Francis was speaking about. Pope Francis continuously speaking about a new church. A new church. A church that can constantly go ahead and offer the gospel. And I am sure that, Bishop was telling me that you already had a lot of talks on synodality. But I wanted to sum up again little simple few points. If you pay attention very clearly, in all the 9 years of Pope Francis, continuously he was focusing on these 5 points, but 1 point still it is going to come. But the 4 points already he has reached. The first point is reform and conversion. It is more on the personal level. Reform and conversion. And partiality of reform, we will also talk today. Second one, a permanent pastoral conversion of the church. A continuous but a permanent. And the third one, a theology of peoples, sensus fide, which is coming from the people, not from what the church is offering, but it is coming from the people. Fourth one, a new synodal way of proceeding, the emergency of practice and style. And the fifth one is, a biggest challenge of all is the ecclesial culture. Ecclesial culture. What type of a culture that we truly try to promote to the people? Now, these are the five. But we are right now, in this year till 2023, we are going to deal about synodality. And as we are trying to deal about synodality, surely there are only two important points. One is about the style, and other one is about the method. And that's why we have different types of functioning and looking at our life, about our own lifestyle and about our own method. But I wanted to just draw to you three important points. Only the synodality will work. If you don't pay attention to these three important points, synodality is not going to work. And which is already given in the document. And those three are, first, change of mentalities, focus on relationship and lifestyle. Change of mentalities. And it is also a lifestyle to be changed. Second one, change of practices of discernment. Surely every congregation has, even Father Jayashilan can tell, because being a Pope, being a Jesuit, he has a lot of root experiences of Ignatian spirituality. And coming from about a discernment. But even every congregation also with our charism and our founders and speaks about different ways of discernment. Ultimately, to become closer to God. But it is important to make again another attempt to see what kind of a discernment that is allowing us to reach the gospel. Because sometimes certain discernment and the decision making is not arriving at the gospel. It can arrive at something. And the third one is the structures of the governance. Now, having said this, structure and governance will not function if the above two are not taken in for practice. It is like this, I will tell you. Sometimes, when you go to any house, any religious community, or anywhere, and they will welcome you warmly and they will give you a room, correct? And when they give you a room, I don't know whether how many of you experienced, but I experienced some places. And when I go to the room to take a shower, the moment I go, I put on the shower. And when I put on the shower, that shower, the holder is there. One water pipe, it goes there. Another water, it goes there. And you need to go around dancing around there. It is not coming in full flush. You understand my point? I am very sure you might have noticed. You put it on, the moment you put it on, one pipe, one water will be going there. You have to wonder, you will be going on dancing in dilly-dally, going on in the bathroom. After that, you have to decide, close it off, better take a mug, and then somehow compromise and with it and go. So what I am trying to say is that it is important to see, even to identify what is the problem, because somehow one kind of a mentality. What is the mentality? You try to take about this fan or a tube light. You see, one of the mentality that we have is not about maintenance. What we have mentality is that let it get repaired, after that we will change. Correct or no? Is it not? It is not about maintenance. It is about, it should get damaged, it should get spoiled, only then I will repair. It's a huge problem. Even you apply to the person. Let the person get damaged, get spoiled, After that we will talk about, I think this fellow did not have a proper formation. I think something happened, something did not work. Now let us talk about what shall we do now. And I want you to answer at this moment. I am very sure you have attended either community meetings or provincial meetings, correct now, all of you? Okay. When you have conducted a meeting, have you ever concluded with these statements? Though there can be so many statements, but some statements I throw to you. One is, same meeting, same discussion. Correct no? Same meeting, same discussion. And another time, and we will try to tell that, these fellows are like that only. They will go on. And another mentality is that trying to find a victim everywhere. Who will be the victim? And that victim throw all the garbage on that person. I wanted to draw to you, even in our mentalities, there is a need to differentiate between tradition and traditionalism. Tradition is about the living faith of the dead people who have given us, who have handed over to us, who have shared us, which is alive. What is the traditionalism? The dead faith of the living people. The dead faith of the living people. Now, try to pay attention here. It is a serious examination that is required in terms with the synodality. At the same time, the topic that we are going to deal, that is about, on the document, on the constitution, Predicate Evangelium. In a simple word in English is, preach the gospel. Predicate Evangelium, preach the gospel. One of the interesting thing I noticed is this. In Vatican, if you go, always there are visitors, tourists. They will show this architect, that Michelangelo painting, and another painting, another design, everything is shown. The language of the art, the language of the design, the language of the construction are spoken much, and the language of Jesus is not spoken much. The very hint of Pope Francis giving this document to preach the gospel is to put centrality of the gospel first in our languages. You go to any community, it is true that, where each community are doing a lot of wonderful works. Everything. It is really true. But somehow, to talk about Jesus has become or has lessened in our time, rather than to talk about other things has become the majority of time. That's why Pope Francis gives a very clear definition. He says, time is more important than space. Time is more important than space. What is space? What he is trying to tell? He is trying to tell, take time for a discernment to reflect, to really to look into it and to change our mentalities and everything, rather than living in a space which is vacuum. Somewhere the person is lost. I don't know if you come across, especially the first chapter of Genesis, you come across about the story of creation, but especially in the Hebrew, there is one word called tohua bohu. Tohua bohu means vacuum. It is in chaos God brings order. You get me? Chaos and order are complementary. But in the reality, what happens is that when chaos comes, people are not ready for order. When chaos comes, the mentality is either put a blame on someone, throw on someone, and they go there, and that time the gospel is not reflected much. And as a result, the church has become closed to the many people and spoken some other things. That is the problem of, especially to the religious. And I try to tell you this. Every congregation has norms. The church has norms. But if our norms cannot reach the form, then we are failures. The norms of the congregation should facilitate to reach the form. The form is Jesus. That is the gospel. That is a gospel. The norm should facilitate to reach the form. And one of the strong concern right now for the religious, in terms with evangelization, in terms with the preaching of the gospel, is this: mediocrity of the many is the crisis of the few. You get my point? I will rephrase in another way. The crisis of the few is the mediocrity of many. When I say the mediocrity means less participation, you are not interested, and you are not active, and you are like a dead and using the traditionalism. And somehow people will wash their hands and say, no, I am there, I wear a cassock and, or I wear my own identity of a, cross or a medal or whatever. But actually problem is mediocrity. The mediocrity of the many is the crisis of the few. Only difference is that they are caught, you are not caught. But the whole essence of what Pope Francis is bringing is about this constitution, Predicate Evangelium, is about the changes in the Roman Curia. Now try to ask yourself, just a random thinking, no? One day I remember that, one sister, she told me, right after the announcement of the new provincial and the council, and the first comment of that sister is that all head level people only. The whole group is head level people. And what they say, which is also a true in their reality of life, why many of them, they comment the same thing, that they speak at the head level and they are not even available to the conference, even to communicate, even to talk. And that is not the gospel. And this is the real concern. So, why Pope Francis has introduced with the new rules, new ways of this constitution, the changes in the Roman Curia, is because somewhere the gospel or the evangelization is given importance but not given the central focus. And we will talk in the second session what he spoke about, what changes he made it, and why he made it. We will talk about it. And so, this is what, and I would give you in this first talk, for us to put this document, Predicate Evangelium, as the central focus in our life, how we are going to respond to the changes or the reforms especially he is trying to do on the curia level. Because sometimes it is also the same concern, no? Why? The people are making decisions and they are making everything, but at the end, it's very difficult. Sometimes no surprise, no? Right after the elections, some congregations have this election business. When you elect, and after the election, when the announcement comes, majority of them they will say, I did not write this person's name. Of course, in the constitution there is always active voice and passive voice, and you have to know even that. But what is really essential is that whether this group, this people who are chosen or elected, whether they are able to promote the gospel either within the congregation or to the church, to anywhere. So some changes that he's trying to bring here is to tell you, Pope Francis not just changing the structure, he is already starting the reformation at the curia level, so that the decisions and the discernment will become more participatory in responding to the synodality. So this is what the first session I tell you. So second session we will talk about more detail, what changes and he has told in the Predicatio Evangelium. So thank you so much.